It's Book of Mormon time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It means a lot, seriously. It means a lot. Alright. First Nephi, chapter 1, verse 1. Starting right off. I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, therefore I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father, and having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless, have been highly favored of the Lord in all of my days, yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and mysteries of God, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. Longest verse of all time. So starting right out, he talks about that he has goodly parents. This is like the first thing he does. Names himself and then says he has goodly parents. And this could mean a trinity of things, you could say. First is the obvious. He had decent parents. Good parents. Taught him how to love the Lord. Took care of him. When he was sad, his mom probably gave him a hug and made him hot cocoa. His dad took him out. Threw the ball around a bit. Back then, maybe he threw the rock around. I don't know what they threw sand at each other. But they were good parents. Makes that very clear, and I think it's clear through all of Nephi that he had good, righteous parents. Goodly also, though, if you follow a lot of things like Fair Mormon or the Mormon Interpreter, they'll talk about things like goodly possibly could mean that they got some cash. Nephi's parents may have had a little bit of money, inheritance, and land, and I think that fits with some of the stuff you see in the future about their inheritance and land, how hard it is for them to leave their riches behind. I think they had some serious cash. They may have been the Kardashians for that time period. I don't know. But they had cash, it seems. So it could mean both things. The third possible thing it could mean, but you have to look this up. This could, again, some of the more scholarly stuff talking about the fact that Nephi's name is actually like an Egyptian name, which actually may be a play on the word goodly. So he may be meaning those first two things and using a play on words, which is very, very possible. And I hope it's true because it's cool. Then, therefore, I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father. So Nephi was taught somewhat. It's a very interesting word there. He not just all of his learning, like the somewhat, like he's a little frustrated about that, but he obviously learned certain things from his father, which we see throughout. If his dad was, as they said, maybe a trader with Egypt, what people talked about, I like to think he was probably rich from flipping synagogues, but he probably taught him, obviously, language stuff, which we see in the future. Nephi knows how to make bows. He knows how to smelt things. I just like saying smelt. And he may have learned all these things from his father, and probably the things that he also learns just about God in general through this whole process. But I like the word somewhat. He doesn't put it all out there. And having seen many afflictions in the course of my days, nevertheless having been highly favored of the Lord in all my days. So he kind of plays these two together. He puts it out first that he's seen a lot of issues. He's seen a lot of problems, and you see this through the entire book of Nephi, 1st and 2nd Nephi. You see the things he goes through, the real sad things about with his brothers, having to go through some things. He has to kill a guy, let's just be honest. He has to steal a slave. He has to leave his home. He talks about crying his eyes out in his pillow, even in the promised land. And there's other things in there that we'll get into later, but he sees a lot of hard times. I mean, he has to live in the wilderness for years. And this isn't just like the woods. We're talking like this is the desert. He basically has to live on the beach without the good part being the water. So he's just in the beach part, which is he's just bored, basically. But at the same time, he's highly favored. He knows he's highly favored of the Lord. So he has all these terrible things happen to him, but at the same time, he knows he's got all these blessings. And it seems to come that way for people back and forth. If you're given a lot is expected, and a lot of times a lot is laid on your back. It just is. Jesus was the best of everybody, the most highly favored, and he had to do the hardest thing of all, which was the atonement. So he had to go through the hardest thing. So sometimes you need to look at that. It's when you want more things from the Lord and you want all those blessings, but a lot of times a lot of things come with it because you have to be tested. And Nephi had a lot of great visions, saw a lot of things, as he says here. Yea, having had a great knowledge of the goodness and mysteries of God. He had knowledge of both these things. I mean, he saw what John the Revelator saw, which we'll see later. He saw great miracles. He performed himself great miracles. He saw the Savior. He's seen a lot of things. And at the same time, he felt the love of the Lord, the mercy of the Lord. He saw the goodness for his family. He saw all these things. And he ends with, therefore I make a record of my proceedings in my days. So then, therefore, this is why he really he's making it. He lays it out first and then says, then I'm going to make this record. But he's laying out, this is very quickly, he had good parents, good, righteous parents. He was taught things by his father. He has seen hardship, but he knows he's been blessed. He's seen the goodness of God. He has seen the mysteries of God. And now he's going to make this record, which is there and very important. I think that's all you have to say about this one. So. Allie, yes or no? Were you born of goodly parents?
No.
Okay, well, thanks.